Mhm. Okay, you're listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. This is a live drive. We begin with the office on Thursdays like this. It's a fantastic day. My name is Kola Wale Falodu, and I'm super elated. I'm sure you're done with work, pushing through traffic right now. Let's have this conversation for the next 28 minutes, okay? This is the office, and the office, as you know, is proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM, and Lagos Talks 91.3. Our guest this evening isn't really a new person or a new face or a new voice on the program. It's someone who has lent his voice quite a while ago. And when I saw the name, it clicked. This is a friend of the house indeed. And I have with me Dr. Muyiwa Oludayo. MCIPM is a research fellow at CIPM. Just a quick introduction or reintroduction of our fantastic guest this evening. He is an organizational management professional with experience in higher education, FMCG technology, financial services, and public service sectors. He has supported projects in various functions, including, but not limited to, human resources, leadership development, change management, learning and development, strategy, and organizational management. He began his career in the higher education sector with Covenant University, where he managed a workforce of over 1,100 people as the university's chief administrative officer, responsible for all non-academic duties. He served as a pioneer research fellow with CIPM, that's the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, to develop the first ever national capabilities framework for human resource professionals called the CIPM Body of Knowledge and Competency Framework. So it's someone who has been behind the scene ensuring that this is a MO, the modus operandi, as far as this prestigious profession is concerned. So let me make welcome, and please join me in making welcome Dr. Olumuyiwa Oludayo, MCIPM. Doctor, good to have you join us. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back here, and
Indeed.
always a delight to be with you. Your thoughts and your deep insights, your curious mind, always set me on my toes. So I'm ready to go on with you today.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you very much for your kind words. I'm also very elated to have you back with us on the office this evening. Without further ado, let's introduce our topical issue or the conversation today, which is unlocking talent. I like that. You deal with talents, but you
Yeah.
might be dealing with docile talent. So unlocking talents, navigating the shift from jobs to skills. That's an interesting twist to that. And that
Mhm.
leads us to, well, our first question. In the current job landscape, why is there a growing emphasis on skills over specific job roles or titles? Nowadays, you hear about skill set, you have the
Yeah.
skill set, and so on and so forth. You want to quickly elaborate on that?
All right. Thank you very much for having me on this call again. Again, so when we talk about the shift from, or the shift of emphasis from job roles or titles to skills, it comes against the backdrop of the fact that certain people have got into certain offices, certain positions, and they have not validated it uh, by the results that have come from their activities or their performance on that role. And so you begin to wonder why certain persons have sat in a position where you expect that people in such positions already have some capabilities to produce certain results expected of that kind of office holder, and you don't find it. Whereas you find people who are not in that office, who are able to deliver to the business what exactly you need because they've got the skill set, but they don't have the title. And so over time, employers' desires has always been to let's get results because nothing commands respect like results. I mean, your titles, your job roles do not command as much respect as the result on the table. And so, and the things that enable you to produce results are your competences, your capabilities, your skills. And if you have those skills, even without a title, the organization can draw value from you. But if you've got the title and you've not got the skill, then the organization will be pained because of your, because of your incompetence, as a case is. And so the idea is this: let's focus more on the people who've got what it takes to produce results, rather than those who can find their way. And mark my words, those who can find their way to the titles.
Now it's making me think about something, because a couple of weeks ago on this same program, I had Mr. Gobir with me.
Yeah,
He's
Ladan.
he's a fantastic gentleman. We spoke about your certifications and all of that. And it's just ticking that box that when you mentioned, or when you alluded to finding your ways to titles, you want to have titles like chartered to your name. You want to be a fellow of whatever professional body or organization. You want to have a doctor or MSc to your name, and so on and so forth. But is that also carrying the weight as it should? Is it pulling its weight as it should? If you're an MSc candidate or an MSc holder in that organization, and you're not being as effective as an average Joe who has the skills but doesn't have the title. So it's making me think in that direction. I don't know if I'm correct if I think so.
Absolutely, you're right on point. That's it. That's it.
So some people find their ways to getting these so-called titles that come with certifications, and then they're not indeed delivering or living up to that expectation.
Absolutely.
You want to quickly dissect that? Why is that the case?
So you see, so many times, right? Organizations appoint people into roles for different reasons. So, for example, you may be in a role because you have social skills. For example, let me give you an example. Typical example: you're leading the business development team, and the reason you're leading the team is because you know so many people, and the organization is hoping that they can leverage on your network to be able to sell their products or sell their services. And so they bring you into the team to do that. Unknowingly, they have brought you to a place of your incompetence. It's the principle in management called the Peters principle. Peters principle says that people are often promoted at their level of incompetence. So you get into that competence and you into that position, and you realize that it is not just about selling the product. So those who lead organizations, those who have certain titles, it's not just about the technical work. There's a lot more that goes into being in an office or being a leader of a particular department than the technical role. As people grow in their careers, we demand less of technical roles, technical skills from them, and we require more of organizational management, leadership. And when people don't have it, even though they can do the technical side, they are not fit. And guess what happens? Because everything rises and falls on leadership, the organization or the department, the deliverables expected of them begins to crumble. And so we're looking for holistic people who have got credentials to validate their abilities, people who have got the personality to say they can hold the office, people who have got skills, people who have got knowledge, people who have got experience, and people who have got all-round capacity to be able to withstand the pressure. Again, I can tell you this: some people have got the competence, but they don't have the capacity. Anytime we talk about capabilities that people need to deliver work in the organization, most often than not, we look at the competencies. We don't talk about the capacity. And permit me to just dive into that a little bit, just to explain what I mean by what I've said. So elements of competence would be credentials. Like, I've got a certificate, I've got a certification. Those are validations of what I can do. However, there is the portion of capacity. Many of us don't know, and we need to know, that capacity, more than competence, is the difference maker in producing results. So today I've got a Bluetooth speaker in my hand, and you've got a massive speaker, an outdoor speaker. Both devices can amplify my voice. They've got the competence to amplify my voice.
Okay.
But
Agree.
the engine in the Bluetooth speaker cannot deliver the kind of value I want. So today's organizations have greater demands that some people have the capacity to deliver. If I need water today and I have a 5-liter keg in my hand, and somebody else gives me a 10-liter keg in my hand, depending on my demand, the usefulness of either kegs is dependent on my demand. Many people don't have the emotional capacity. When there's an increasing pressure on their work, they break off. Some people don't have the physical stamina. When there's a demand that makes them want to work longer hours, they break down. Some don't have intellectual capacity. They cannot process too much information. And so we're saying that the skills, the capabilities you need to deliver value is beyond your credential. It's beyond your personality. We need you also to show that you've got social capacity. In fact, again, my friend, we need people to show that they've got financial capacity. Those who have financial capacity, and I say this without prejudice to any organization, but let's see the practical things here. Some people oftentimes will be appointed or identified to go for trainings. And they say, oh, Muyiwa, you're going for a training in Abuja. But it will take a while to process your funds for that training. You know what they tell you to do? Go ahead for the training, and then when you come back, we reimburse you. There are certain people.
A red flag? Do you think that's a red flag?
No. Sometimes it's bureaucracy. Sometimes it's bureaucracy, right? Sometimes it's bureaucracy. Sometimes you're able to get it before you go. But most times, people often have to go and come back to get reimbursed, or while they're on the trip, they get reimbursed. It's not best practice, but it's one of the things that we see a lot in our workplaces today. But guess what? If you are that person that doesn't know how to fund such trips as often as you are sent, you don't have the financial capacity. You know what happens to you? Oftentimes when such opportunities come, you are dropped because you become a burden. You can't do it, deal it. And so today is important that people who want to bring value to the table, professionals who want to add value to the organization, must look beyond their competences and begin to look at their capacity. If I add 3 more team members to your team, to your department, can you still deliver? If I have 2 more deliverables, if I add 2 more deliverables, you're doing very well.
Okay.
You can anchor 5 programs in a day. If I say, can I give you 6 more programs? Or 1 more program to make it 6, would you still deliver at your pace?
All right, Doctor. Let me quickly pause you there because we need to go on a break, and then we'll come back with some more questions. This is the office on 91.3.
And game moments. Don't miss out on Nollywood movies and web series on YouTube. With the YouTube buffet plan from MTN, you can enjoy over 10 hours of Nollywood content made for you. Sharply dial *312*800# to activate the YouTube buffet plan from MTN and start enjoying YouTube made for you. The drama, the suspense, the emotions, the gang moments. Don't miss out on Nollywood movies and web series on YouTube. With the YouTube buffet plan from MTN, you can enjoy over 10 hours of Nollywood content made for you. Sharply dial *312*800# to activate the YouTube buffet plan from MTN and start enjoying YouTube made for you.
Celebration and laughs. It's Live Drive.
Okay, welcome back. We have limited time, but we still have, well, the distinguished Dr. Muyiwa with us this evening on The Office. You're listening to Lagos Talks 91.3, and we are discussing, well, unlocking talent, navigating the shift from jobs to skills. Now, Doctor, how do you think individuals, employers can identify and, prioritize the key skills that are needed to succeed in their respective industries or professions or job roles, as it were?
All right, thank you for that question. So I think there are standards. There are standards everywhere that people can begin to lean on to find a direction to where they go. But I have a principle I like to suggest to the listeners, to the professionals listening. Maybe they can exploit and it will help them, be it individuals or employers. It will help them find their pathway to the skills needed to succeed in their careers or in the industry. Number one is ask certain questions. Number one question would be, what new skills can I add to the ones I have? What new skills can I add to what I have to be able to do my job in a better way? The response to that question becomes the target skills you should pursue. What new skills should I add? The second question would be, what skills do I currently have that I need to improve upon so that I can deliver better results on my job? Again, the response to that question becomes the target for your learning and development, your learning and development interventions. Number three, which is critical question, is what skills do I need to replicate? Meaning, I don't have it, I've not identified it as a new skill to do, but I see people who are thriving in their careers. I see people who are thriving in their industry. I see that these are the skills they have. And your response, the things you find after answering that question becomes a target for you also to pursue. So what skills can I replicate? If I realize that somebody has a project management certification in addition to his human resource management certification, and he's the person leading his organization and potentially the CEO of the organization, I want to believe that maybe that project management certification has a thing to do. And so it becomes a target for me to pursue, right? Right? Can I proceed?
Yeah.
It becomes a target for me to pursue. The fourth question, which is very critical, is what skills do I need to drop because it is no longer relevant to the kind of work I do today? Many of us are still paying attention to the things that are no longer bringing value to the table. Hence, we're wasting time going for certain programs, going to certain trainings, or reading certain material that are obsolete, and they're not delivering value. You're wasting time, wasting resources that you could have directed to the things that these first three questions will have helped you to identify. I think for the employers themselves, what is important is before you can, engage the services of anyone that you call skilled, you've got to assess them on how much of the job do they know, how much of your organization are they aware of, and how much of the industry. You don't want to bring somebody, see, you know what? HR people are everywhere, but HR in oil and gas sector is different from HR in financial services.
Okay.
So if I'm bringing Muyiwa from oil and gas and I'm bringing him into the financial services sector, I want to know if Muyiwa has an idea of what's happening in the financial services sector, irrespective of what he knows as a HR professional in the oil, but it's coming from oil and gas, because his relevance to me in my organization will also be industry specific.
Oh,
and so,
Dr. Olumio, I just want to, sorry to butt in there, but I just want to, take you back to maybe your most recent recruitment process that you were actively a part of.
Okay.
Have you ever been a member of a panel,
Sure.
talents into an organization or for a role, and then you were trying to look through the CV or look through the resume to know if indeed this person is a perfect fit in terms of capacity? Because right now, a lot of candidates and people who are looking for jobs and preparing for, tests and to applications and stuff like that, are trying to weigh the balance and say, do I put some more effort in skill development, or do I put some more effort in the titles? Let me get this certification and so on and so forth. For you, have you been at a position where you had to make a decision and you had to look through the certifications to get your ideal candidate?
All right. So I say that there are about, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So there are about five considerations to make. And each consideration is weighted. And is weighted based on what is relevant for the organization. So I've been in situations where I sat on the panel and the organization is looking for certification. So let me give you an example. No, maybe for that, let me give you the five criteria. Number one is credentials. I want to look at your certification. Now, number two is your personality. I want to look at your personal attributes. Number three is your skills. I want to look at your technical skill, your human relations skill, or your conceptual skill. Number four is knowledge. I want to know, I want to be able to assess what you know about the job, the organization, the industry, and the business environment, be it Nigeria or anywhere in the world. And the last criteria will be your experience. What have you been a part of before? And what was your role in projects that you participated in? Now, all these 5 elements, as good as they are, I would weigh them. I will put them on weights depending on what I want as an employer. For example, an employer who requires a certification to be able to deliver a service will put more emphasis on certification. So if you need a human resource practitioner's license, for example, to practice as a human resource consultant, knowledge or skill or attribute may not be as important as the certification. So when I'm hiring, I give a weight, maybe a greater weight to that credential.
So it depends on the role or the organization.
It depends on the role, the pursuit of the organization, the maturity level of the organization at the time.
Okay.
So look at organizations in financial services. For example, if you want to have an asset management firm, for example, you need an asset management firm. SEC will tell you need people they call sponsored individuals. And so whether the sponsored individual just got his license last week or he's been in the industry for 10 years, it doesn't matter as far as he's got that certification. And so for them, that becomes their priority. But for some other people, they need the people who can deliver the job, whether they've got a certification or not. We find them in tech. I don't want to know whether you got certifications. Can you code? What languages can you write on? And that's what matters.
So what do you think because our time is fast spent, what do you think organizations can do in terms of strategies, to implement, to effectively bridge the gap between the talents available and then the skills required for their emerging roles? So what strategies do you think that some companies in the day and age can employ to maximize this process?
Because of time, I'll just run through it. I think we need to begin to do a lot of leadership, learning and development interventions. Leaders today, those who possess these things within organizations, need to begin to think around how they can transfer knowledge. And one critical way to do it is by mentoring. You see, we need to mentor. A mentor is simply a trusted advisor. And organizations must, and I use the word must very carefully, organizations must begin to formalize their mentoring programs.
Okay.
Because one way to transfer knowledge, experience, or whatever it is that the person has his competence to the upcoming career leaders is to give them such opportunities.
But don't you think that incentives have to be injected? Because if you're a senior, I'm looking at a scenario where you want to formalize the process, and then there's no incentive on the person impacting the knowledge to the junior colleague or something. So there has to be some sort of incentive.
Well, you see, again, not everything has got to be rewarded by incentives. Okay. Sometimes we get to the point where people see it as a duty to building the future of the organization or the future of their profession. There were people who raised me up as a HR professional who are delighted today at the things I do. And I have got that responsibility to pay it forward by developing the next. Otherwise, my profession is going to go extinct.
But in the case where you have shortage of people who are that reasonable,
then you put some incentive to it. You put some naira and cover to it. or you look around and make it an open thing and get people who've got to do it. I understand you. So mentoring is formalize those learning and development interventions, formalize coaching, formalize sponsoring, make it a culture in the organization so that you can even appraise it to say, how many people have you raised today? How many people have you mentored? And have you done this?
Yeah, I like
there are systems that we can design. And I think employers need to do this. Is one way to retain the knowledge and the experiences that are currently there. Because many people are living in the country today. Another thing that employers can do is to begin to retain their talents. So maybe I should share this. One final thought is I want employers to begin to consider the design of what I call a corporate alumni network. The way universities or schools have alumni associations, I can tell you, multinationals, a lot of great companies across the world have corporate alumni network where they have a relationship with the people who have worked in the organization before in a formal sense, because they can always tap into their into their experience, tap into this. And CIPM can help many people do this anyway, to help you design a corporate alumni network. So you want to be able to keep tabs on the people who have left your organization. One, they can help you with business development. Number two, they can help you with mentoring. Number three, they can become sources of your validation for some of the information that you're trying to figure out in your organization today. And so one is let them formalize learning and development interventions around mentoring, coaching, and sponsoring. Number two, you may want to start to do a corporate alumni network. There are organizations today that if only they can tap into the power, the knowledge, the capabilities of the people who have passed through the organization, they will not be struggling. And those people are still available. They are still available. And so today's workforce can draw value from yesterday's workforce in a structured corporate alumni mentoring program. Name the organization, global organizations, McKinsey, Google, Meta, a number of them have corporate alumni networks. I've not seen a Nigerian company who today has really talked about the fact that they have a corporate alumni network that they are drawing value from. It's something that we need to consider to be able to enhance the skills, preserve the value that's been in the organization, and then prepare the current workforce for the challenges of tomorrow.
Definitely, these are quite pivotal if we're talking about unlocking talents. And Dr. Muyiwa, thank you very much indeed. Our time is really gone. I'm hoping we can have like a part 2 of this. We'll speak with the production team, but definitely at your convenience, as long as we are on the same page. I think we should have a part 2 of this conversation.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Muyiwa Oludayo. MCIPM is a research fellow at CIPM. You're wondering why he's so adept with some of these things. I mean, the man is responsible for many of the MOs that keep the profession working seamlessly. So that's what you get when you get the capacity, competence in one package. Good to have you join us again, and look forward to having you at some other time.
Amen. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, so that's it. Well, our time ticks fast when we're having fantastic conversations. And you know that the office is proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM, and Lagos Talks 91.3. My name is Kola Wale. Next week, Thursday, is going to be another fantastic time to have conversations like this, and I'll keep you updated as soon as we have the chance to have Dr. Muyiwa with us again. Up next is Critical Thinking on Lagos Talks.
It's Live Drive. 18 million people finally have a voice. It's Lagos Talks 91.3.